Next topic, and this is an interesting topic. So with playing video games, a lot of people are starting to subscribe the name of athlete on to the people who play these games. Esports athletes, your FGC fighting game athletes. So one thing in athletics that people really talk about is just the age of the athletes. When you get to certain ages in basketball, football, whatever, they expect you to retire. It's everybody knows it's gonna happen. You're a physical athlete, you can't keep doing this for forever. So, but the thing with gaming, age is something that is really not just so black and white when it comes to age. As far as like, okay, well, I mean, Daigo's been here since Street Fighter Alpha 3. It's time for him to retire. Like, we don't have that mindset. So when it comes to age in esports, like, or just in gaming in general, like, how much of a factor do you feel like that plays into us being athletes? Because you have a lot of people tell you all the time, like, hey, like, you want to make sure that you have your stuff good outside of gaming. I mean, outside of being like the actual person who's in tournaments and stuff like that, because you never know what game will come out or when it's your time or what'll happen that you're just not on top anymore. So how does age to you guys play a factor when it comes to us being seen as athletes? So give it to you, Devin.
All right, I'm gonna give my opinion real quick, but I actually have somebody invited today that I wanted to give their take on that because he's very experienced in it. So just give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. The microphone on? Oh, okay. Hello, input, output. This is Franklin George Carter. I am a 30-year-old retired FGC player, and my nephew, Mr. Gaming Live, had invited me to talk about one of your topics on when the toll that fighting games take on you. The microphone is on. Okay, all right, just talking. Okay, so I'm gonna show y'all something I brought here. You see, I got some cream here. This is for my fingers. Long years of pressing buttons and doing infinites, your fingers and hands will take a toll. So you have to have this cream to loosen up your stiff fingers. I actually have a plate in this finger, and one in this one. I had to have two finger replacements because the magneto around infinites took a toll on me. So I just want to let you all know that fighting games will take a toll on you. If you're not a pro by 19, you can go ahead and hang it up. Even though I was quite skilled. As you see, I'm 30, and my nephew asked me to come on here. I just want to give that take because it can be quite stressful. It's a lot of inputs and motions you do, and it's really taxing on the physical body. People don't really respect it like basketball, but it's really the same thing. So I just want you all to know that if you're trying to be a professional fighting game player, make sure you take care of your body. Get normal massages on your hands. You don't want to wind up like me. I'm 30. I'm over the hill. I'm out the game. I'm out of the game. So if you're up and coming, please take care of yourself. I'll get back to my nephew. Appreciate that, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, man. It's one of those things like when it comes to like getting older, I don't think it's really like that big of an issue to a certain extent. You got players like Daigo. He's still doing pretty well. Like, and at one point, people were kind of like disregarding Daigo, like he wasn't like the Daigo of the Third Strike era and the early Street Fighter 4 versus Justin Wong era. But Daigo was still out here putting in lots of work, and Daigo was like 40. So I think it's more so a mindset thing. Like people, if you don't really think you're like getting that old, you won't necessarily. Well, I'm 40. I guess I'll just hang on my arcade stick. I can't do Hadoken no more. It's like that's not really necessarily the case. Because it's like, I mean, yeah, you can like kind of encounter things like carpal tunnel or something like that possibly. But I mean, if you take care of yourself and you're not, you're being careful, I think that you can still retain your like reactions and stuff. I feel like me personally, as I've gotten older, I've still been able to do combos and retain like my hand-eye coordination when I was younger. So I don't think that it's like one of those things where you went from like 25 to 26 to 27. Now you can't even like do anything. Like you can't react to anything. You know, yes, I do agree that like if you're younger, you do kind of have like somewhat of a faster response to things. It's like you're fresher of a human being, but at the same time, you know, just because you're older, I mean, you're gonna lose it all. There's people. Goichi. Goichi is like 30 plus, and he's one of the, if not the best Dragon Ball's fighter player in the world. He's like 30 plus, man. He's married. He's still out here. He looks young. People are like, oh, he's yeah. Goichi's like 30 something. A lot of those like Japanese players that are like always in the talk about something, those guys are like 30 plus. Dogura, Kazuno, all those guys, Tokido, and those guys are still out here bodying people. So I really just think it's the mindset that you bring into it. Like, okay, look, I might have to do things a little different. I might have to train a little different, but just because I'm getting older doesn't mean I'm just gonna throw myself in the trash as a fighting game player. So that's my take on it. And I appreciate Marco for, you know, putting his take on it. You know, he had a different experience. He's from the old school. You know, he's 30, so he's over the hill. So, you know.
Well, I'm 33, so I guess that makes me like freaking ancient. But yeah, I like, so when you're a pro fighting game player, I think yeah, your I would say expiration date is pushed back as long as you like you said take care of yourself. You don't have any like pre-existing conditions or something like that, but even with like some pre-existing conditions, I think people are able to like, you know, like get past those things, like like Broly Legs. I mean, you know, he plays. I actually seen that guy play in person at I think it was DreamHack Dallas 2019. Yeah, that guy's really good. Like he's really good. Um, so I mean, like you, like people who get really old. I mean, you'll be okay. You'll be just fine. I think like as far as like, you know, athleticism is concerned, you know, in sports the likelihood that you're going to get hurt is pretty high because you're really putting your body on the line. You get like internal injuries and stuff. You get brain injuries. I remember there's a guy that I went to high school with, and you know, we were at a football game and he got tackled the wrong way, and he got an internal injury, and he didn't even know he had it for a while, and then eventually it's like goes to the hospital. It's like, yo man, you broke a rib, and then your rib like went and like punctured one of your organs and stuff, and it's like, yo, you can't play football anymore after that. You were done. You were done. Like especially as a kid, like who's going to let you, like your parents are definitely not going to let you go back anyway, right? But that's just in high school. Like, can you imagine being like an athlete, like on the field, doing that every other day for years and years and years? That starts to take a toll. I'm not going to say that, you know, that like playing fighting games doesn't take a toll on you, but you're less likely to get a life altering injury playing a fighting game. So you're more likely to be able to continue playing than somebody who's like playing like basketball or football or soccer or something like that. You know, I mean, like at least I hope, you know, you guys. At least I hope you don't get any life altering injuries. I mean, you might get one after the match if your opponent has a really short fuse or something like that, or you said something, you know, that got under their skin. But for the most part, I think if you take care of yourself, you should be all right. And I'd like to say thank you to Devin's uncle. You know, I mean, when you talk to him again, I don't know, you might have to get him his hearing aid so he hears you properly. But like, you know, like to let him know how thankful I am for, you know, coming on here and like talking to us for a bit. That was awesome.
I'll say I don't think age really has a factor in fighting games, and I'm sure there is some sort of application you could put for younger people as far as like reaction speed and reflexes and things of that nature. But I don't think it's about older players not being able to cut it anymore. I think similar to athletics, when you're in the scene for such a long time, different opportunities arise for you. So if you look at some of our older community members, Alex Valle, Eris, Daigo, you got Bronson Tran, whoever, John Choi, right? They were really, really good players back when we were playing an arcade, not knowing what to do, right? Messing up inputs. And they were putting in work. And then as they've gotten older, you know, some of them have gone into tournament organizing. Some of them have gone into production. Daigo's a personality now. Like, he doesn't really have to go to tournaments. His Beast TV is doing it really well. So a lot of these guys who have really they were on the front lines back in the day. Now they have different opportunities that they can kind of take a step back and, basically let the younger crowd take over now as far as the gameplay. But I mean, you saw it. Like, Vaya still has it. If he wants to go play and whoop on some people, he can. He can go to tournaments and definitely put in some work. But I think a lot of them understand those, like, I'm okay taking a step back, doing other things within the FGC, not always being on the front lines and playing. So I like that, because you see that in athletics as well. Players become coaches or managers or sometimes even agents, because the experience a lot of times is translated differently, except outside of the match itself. So I think you see that in our scene a lot, which is not so much the old crew can't cut it anymore, but just, they see different opportunities, so they seize them.